FX. So, let's go to the one that everybody has been waiting for us to talk about, and that is Nightmare. And man, I don't know if this is going to be number 1 or number 2. I really don't. I really don't. But I mean, what I do know is that this is an awesome fight, and the first phase is just kind of cool because like you see Nightmare and you're like, oh my god. The first phase lasts for about like 30 seconds, and then the gravity effects kick in, which is like the real awesome part of the fight. And like, man, that's it. It's like such a unique aspect to this fight. You've never seen it before in Metroid. You really haven't seen it since, well, except for fighting Nightmare and Metroid Other M. And it's just like everything about this is just very cool. Like the design of Nightmare literally looks so creepy. That stupid little like generator thing he's got, kind of hanging out of his butt is kind of like an awesome weak point. I love when he takes his mask off. Like it looks so wicked. Design is probably the best design boss in the game, and just like the gravity effects are so fun. I will say that it is kind of not even frustrating, but challenging for sure in the second or in the last phase when you have to space jump around him. To this day, I wrote the guide on Metroid Fusion. To this day, I still don't know what triggers Nightmare to stop and slowly crawl towards you. Sometimes I can get him into a rhythm, sometimes I can't. So part of me is just like, oh, why can't I crack this code? And if you know, please DM me. Slide it to my DMs. I would love to know. But yeah, awesome fight. I don't know if it's number 1 or number 2 for me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, as I said earlier, it's either this or Yakuza for
I
me.
agree.
It's either
Yeah.
either of those two bosses. But yeah, I mean, everything about Nightmare is so unique. He's one of the few bosses in the game that actually has a unique boss theme. I think it's him, Notori, Ridley,
Mhm.
SAX. Are there any others that have unique boss? Arachnus, weirdly enough, being the original boss. I think those are the only bosses with unique themes. But yeah, and it's one of the best themes in the game. The Nightmare theme is so good. It's what really works about this game, about this boss fight so well. Is we were just talking about how Notorious is so different, and how rather than being this action-oriented boss, it more takes on the body horror approach. It's more about the atmosphere of the boss. Nightmare does all of that together. It's a really
Mhm.
interesting boss fight with unique mechanics, and it's creepy, and it has arguably some of the most memorable body horror in the game, like you mentioned, when the mask is revealed, and then the more
Oh,
damage you do to it, the more messed up and grotesque and just melty that face becomes. And we talked about this before on the podcast, but like it almost feels like by the end of it, you're just trying to put it out of its misery. Like it's like wanting you to
yeah.
take it out, and
Yeah.
it's like this. And like it never explicitly outright says, but it looks just tortured, and it's like it's a really dark moment for a Nintendo game. But I think it really works in this fight so well, and the more I'm saying it out loud, I think I do just have to put it at number 1, even above Yakuza. Who
Which seems like the obvious choice, but like there really is a lot about this fight to like I think like the body horror element, like even actually it's creepy in the sense that like once you do finally destroy that gravity generator, you should feel a little bit of respite because you're like, okay, well at least the gravity isn't going to be warped anymore. But that makes Nightmare so much faster, and then he just chases you around and he's constantly bumping into you. So that isn't even like a good thing to have happen. Just like the amount of ways that you can beat him too, I feel like is a strength. Like you can do the slow and steady route and like space jump around him and make sure that you don't like you're not taking any damage, or you can be a little bit riskier and like do some tight jumps around him and try and lure him into that rhythm where he comes over to the left. Just I think that the arena itself like is fine, but like when the gravity effects are going on, it just like it looks so awesome. Like you've never seen anything like it in Metroid. So I'm kind of talking myself into number 1 as well, which I kind of wanted to go with Yakuza because I feel like everyone listening to this probably assumed that Nightmare was going to be number 1. But I mean, sometimes sometimes you're just the consensus is the right choice. Which, by the way, this gives you the gravity suit, which is like so much better than that god awful Varia suit. So yeah, this might have to go. This might have to go number 1.
Yeah, like part of me wants to like go against the consensus, but at the same time, I just got to be honest. And like as I'm talking about it out loud, it's just like, yeah, it's just a better boss fight.
It like the thing I love about it too, like you've played Metroid Fusion a million times, so have I. I think that this fight is still challenging. You know, like these other fights, like once you kind of learn the pattern, like we were talking about Box, which I love that fight, but we could do that fight without taking a single hit, right? This one, it's still just like, okay, I'm gonna try and lure him into coming over, but I might not get it, and I'm gonna get punished if that happens. So like, I like that about this fight as well, that it's still after all these years can be somewhat of a challenge to actually get through. So yeah, I think, you know what, Nightmare. Sometimes people are just right, and Nightmare is number one, and I think that that's fine.
On rare occasions, people can be right. That is true.
Yeah. Okay.